kabila ndio kwao. Hapo shafika ukweli na hakika, kadiri na shika furaha kwa lahiki. Kwa mashabiki maji kuziki, hip na fiki, hit na dhiki, muda muna wiki, mimi na hiziki, split ni mukiki, kutafuta ziki, kwa makini mfulisi, ya mchima la sili, feel me.
Don't you know we're talking about a revolution song?
My heart is saddened. My soul is worried. You are sad and you are worried because of what, brother? Because these who are the descendants of slaves born in America having dark skin, these who may label themselves as black or African, African American, Hebrew Israelite, Kemites, black Muslims, Nubians, and the list goes on and on, whatever you may call yourself, as long as you are a descendant of a slave born in America under constant attack at this time. When you watch the news, it's always one who looks like you and me, murdered in the streets by police officers for whatever reason. We have become targets. And this should not be happening to us if we, a long time ago, and if we right now at this time take the appropriate action. Now, what is so disheartening is that I was just watching a video by our brother, the Prophet of Doom, and he also was making reference to a video where Dr. Umar Johnson was speaking. The Prophet of Doom was talking about in his video that you and me, we who are the descendants of slaves born in America having dark skin, we really only have two choices. And that is to build a nation that we can call our own, or you are sentencing your children, our babies and future generations, they are going right back to where we come from. And you did not come from Kemet, you did not come from Israel, you did not come from any of these places. We were birthed right here in America, North America, these United States. And we were produced to become the world's greatest and most perfect slave. And slaves lived on a plantation. So your only choice, our only choice, is that we build a nation or we return back to the plantation. And you have no choice in the matter. Well, actually, yes, you do have a choice. Nation or plantation. You and I may not get back on the physical plantation, but at the rate that we're going, you and I are creating a destiny for the babies that are being born today. They are on their way back to a plantation. Maybe not the plantation of old, but they would be somebody's slave. One of our problems, as Dr. Umar Johnson points out, some of us are individualists. We are only concerned with our personal family, our own personal welfare. We practice what he calls individualism. You don't see a need for other people in your circle. Then you have those who are nationalists. And Dr. Umar Johnson is a nationalist because his concern goes outside of his own personal family. He's looking at the future of a people, a group of persons. And again, this group of persons, you have a choice. Either a nation or the plantation. And in the way of life, once you get to a certain point, there is a point of no return. You believe that time is going to always be here for you to make the correct decision. Time waits for no one. When you are in a car and that car goes into a skid, you have a certain amount of time to make the correct and appropriate action. If not, you go or you get into the point of no return. Thus, you wreck that automobile. Thus, you wreck that car. So right now, all of us who are the descendants of slaves born in America, we are driving this car. And you must correct it. It is spinning and has been spinning out of control, going on 500 years. If you do not correct what is going wrong, you may enter the point of no return. And that's it. You crash. How many people would argue with the driver when you go into a skid and that driver must be able to think in order to avoid an accident killing you and all in the car? I very much doubt that people are arguing and complaining with the driver. So here we are in a driver's seat, and all you do all day and night is argue amongst each other about you should be a Hebrew, or you should be a Camite, you should be this. This is personal. That's individualism. And I must say to Dr. Umar Johnson, even you practice a little bit of individualism because you want people to be or view themselves as a Pan-African, whatever that is. And I'm not going. That's not what this video is about. Trying to figure out what a black Muslim really is, or Pan-Africanist, or Camite, or Hebrew Israelite. That's not the purpose of this video. The purpose of this video is that we all are in a similar situation. We are all in the same. We are all a passenger on the same bus, and the bus has spent out of control. And we must be able to take that wheel and turn it and guide it in an appropriate manner before it gets to the point of no return. A nation or the plantation. However, you cannot have a nation until you first become a people. And right now, we call ourselves a people, but we're not a people. You have this group and that group and all these different groups. Excuse me. We have all these different groups. We have not tried to become a people. You cannot create a nation due to groups. You can only create a nation or build a nation due to a groups of people viewing themselves as one. And that is how you create a nation. So you must see me as your brother. I must see you as a brother. I must see her as my sister. We must see ourselves as brothers and sisters. If you want to debate something, debate unity. Debate how you hate me and you think that I hate you. Debate how that we can get over, somehow get over this hatred, and most of it is very, very petty. So that we can go on to do what we need to do so that we can avoid the plantation. It would be better for us, and our children would be so proud, and those that come after us, that we decided to avoid the plantation and embrace the nation. Our children, our babies. I don't have biological children, but every child that I see on the street, as an adult, I'm responsible for, and I should be trying to make that baby's life better. And I am not making that baby's life better by taking action that will create where it's destiny, that baby's fate could be the plantation. Our children don't deserve it. We don't deserve it. interested in your personal beliefs. You're not interested in my personal beliefs. That's good for you. That's not even an issue. The issue is that you should be able to compromise, and you should be able to push your personal things to the side so that this can be built, because it's bigger than you and me. It's bigger than your personal beliefs. And once you create a nation, once you create or build a country that is recognized by the rest of the world, the rest of the earth, you can build your own schools and universities and churches and synagogues and mosques, whatever you want to do. And y'all can debate and argue over personal beliefs all day long. You will have a military that will defend your right to do that. You will have a military and a nation that will defend your right to do whatever you've decided that you want to do. Just like the Caucasian people have done right here. Separation is the real solution. You must separate from an enemy, a people of whom, going on 500 years, it is very clear you will never be able to get along, because there is something in them that they just don't like about you, and they cannot accept you. The people that call themselves black conscious and awakened, you are the leaders. But how can you lead and you continue to have a childish, immature mentality? A child cannot build a nation. Somebody that's immature cannot build a nation. You can only talk. And that's all that we see. And that's all you've seen for the last 20, 30 years. It's nothing but a bunch of talk. You're too busy arguing over petty things. You want to debate. Debate over, how can I be your brother? How can I be your sister? I want to show I have to be important to you. You have to be important to me. The nation that we want to build, the unity that we want to produce, is more important than political, personal beliefs that we hold on to. Go into a room, get on Skype and sit with your leadership and talk amongst each other, especially when you don't have the disagreement. How can I be your brother? If you want to debate and argue, debate, how can I be your brother? How can I be your sister? How can we view everybody as family? I could easily work with those who in the past said they wanted to beat my ass, who disagree with me, who have tried to hurt me, because that's over and done with. That's the past. This is start fresh, because this is more important than me as a human being. I am here today. Within the next 20 years, or maybe within the next few minutes, I will be gone. But at least I want to say that I made an attempt not to keep debating over ideology, but debate on, how can I love you, black man? That the black people of this nation, no matter how you talk, you are not ready for revolution. And I want to say that I concur with Killer Mike's statement. It is true that the so-called black people of America, you are not ready for revolution. However, if you ever expected to be, or you ever expected to be liberated from your oppressors, chances are, and with no doubt, it's going to be a requirement. Now, I do agree with Killer Mike, but at the same time, I must offer this, and I always get I always get people angry and upset, but hey, that's not my fault. We really need to understand and accept the reality of our situation. These who are the descendants of slaves born in America, if you wish to gain respect, if you wish to truly progress, based on your own motivation, inspiration, and your own hard work, and not dependent or not confined in a box like we have been since slavery of our ancestors, the physical slavery of our ancestors, limited, and there is an unwritten law that every Negro needs to know and stay in his or her place. I agree with Killer Mike that you're not ready, but the question that must be raised is, Killer Mike, when will these be ready? I understand the logistics, and I understand what you must have in place in order to begin or have what we call a revolution. Revolution simply means to rebel. Rebel against those who are in control of you, who are in authority or dominant over you. Whereas you must obey the laws and the policies, and you are influenced by the customs and the language that a person by force. And this is what must be understood. Everything that we are, you speak English, you eat apples and oranges, whatever we have become, this was placed upon us by force. It is not of your own making. So, in order to have a revolution, Killer Mike suggests that we should have weapons of some sort. We must be able to feed ourselves and clothe ourselves and all this type of thing. But as you know, revolution means you have gone to war with somebody. And if you went to war with the Caucasian people, whatever your farm, they will burn it down. They will burn your crops, kill your farm animals. They will do, that is a part of the revolution, that is a part of war, because they must find these things in order to destroy and neutralize the threat. So again, the question is, when will you be ready? We are going on 500 years. And the black man and woman of this nation, in the eyes of the world, we look like cowards. You see great empathy, and you see great understanding of the plight of people like the Palestinians, because they are willing to die and they sacrifice for their cause, trying to become liberated, trying to gain back that which was lost, which they were, which was taken away from them. And although at this time, and they have suffered many casualties, there is a deep respect for their cause. However, in this nation, going on 500 years, and we have had uprisings, a little bit here and a little bit there, but as a so-called people, you do not see, we who are the descendants of slaves born in America, although they kill our children because they had a fake gun or because they was reaching for a book, whatever the reason why, you don't see no outrage, you don't see that unity, you don't see the fire in us as you see in the Palestinian people or any other people who have gotten to the point where they are sick and tired of being sick and tired. Revolution. Many of us are afraid of revolution and scared because we don't want to lose. Whether you win or lose, lives will be lost. whether you win or lose. So the sacrifice of life is going to be needed whether you win or lose. The problem is simply descendants of slaves are cowards, and you're incompetent. First of all, you don't allow somebody to tell you or dictate what your revolution is about. I am saying that revolution should simply be about you going to leave me the hell alone. It's not about winning or losing. It's about when you hurt me, I'm going to hurt you back. I want to give an example very quickly of using the Civil War. The Civil War was rebellion. It was rebellion of the southern states against the federal government. It was revolution. And that went on for years. Was it, 5 years? I believe. Almost 5 years. 4 to 5 years. You had the Civil War. The South lost. How many died in that? What kind of detriment did that cause this nation, which they still suffer to this day? The South lost. However, the South made a point to the federal government. Do you think, even in 2016, do you think that the federal government would love to hear that the South is about to succeed again? They don't want to go through that again. So I guarantee you, that's because the South earned respect. They lost the war, but they earned the respect of the federal government. When will you be ready? Do you think that the South was ready to go to war with the federal government? Are you ready when you walk down the street and somebody pull a gun on you and wish to rob you of what you worked hard for? Are you ready? When will you be ready? When will you get ready? This is as an excuse that cowards use, because a coward will never be ready. So I'm telling you, revolution is not about winning or losing. It is about gaining respect. You are going to gain the respect that you're not going to continue to do anything that you want to me. And you will give us justice, and you will give us peace. Otherwise, you will not live in peace. And you have all these black men talking all this. You have all these black men talking all this revolutionary. Then you're not going to bust a grape. Killer Mike knows it. I know it. The American government knows it also. Because people who really want to do something not going to talk about it. Next thing you know, they just be about it. It just happens. It's going on 500 years. Now, Caucasian people or pink people, they can talk all the trash that they want to. Most of them are dumb and ignorant. But if we as a people, I'm not talking about Killer Mike or myself, a few individuals doing this and that, being so-called terrorists. No, you are a revolutionary. You're not a terrorist. I'm not trying to take over the government. But this government is going to respect me, going to respect our people, respect our women and children and girls and sons. You mess with us, then you're going to get messed with. Tired of you screwing with us. These are nothing but bullies. But if we as a people did decide to rise up and just go for it, although Caucasian people talk a whole bunch of crap, they really don't want that to happen, because it will open up a whole new can of worms. They cannot fight a large disturbance in this nation, and then you have other terrorists trying to get in. It will open up a whole brand new can of worms that they have never seen before. The government understands what could happen if black folks truly decided to rise up and a true revolution began where we don't give a damn. Kill me. But when you kill me, I guarantee you, you're going to hurt also. And we're going to win regardless, just like the South. Until this day, the southern states still have great respect, still get great respect from the federal government. You can believe that. Because the federal government understands what might happen. You too busy worried about winning and losing, and it's not even about winning and losing. It's about you being a coward. And there are many ways to deal with your enemy besides physical force. You don't want to use your brain. Be creative in your fight. It's not always about a gun. It's not always about physical force. It's about being smart. Understand your enemy's weakness and attacking that weakness. They control black folks every day. And some of us are murdered, we're killed, but basically they keep black folks under control because of their media. They're smart. And you could do the same type of thing. Understanding propaganda, understanding media, understanding their law, understand their policy, understanding terrorism, using other people to fight your battle. So again, Killer Mike, when will these be ready? I want to talk for a few minutes and bring clarification and simple example to what we call the knowledge of self. There is no error, there is no flaw in what we have already discovered. However, we don't know exactly what that is, but when you and I, we are the descendants of slaves, born in America, having dark skin, when you have been robbed of an identity and don't have nothing at all, you have to start somewhere, whether that is true or it's half true or a little bit of something. You have to have some way in order to identify yourself, because one thing that is a fact, you and I, we are not Europeans. One thing that is a fact, the Europeans stripped us and robbed us of the knowledge of self. The knowledge of where we come from, the knowledge of our parents, their customs, their ways, their gods and religions and politics and everything about them. So we begin our journey, being a brand new people birthed in the womb of races. We start our journey into a new life with nothing except what was given to us by the conqueror. I'm very sure none of you, well, there's always going to be somebody that say, that ain't true, that ain't true, I'm an American. Well, whatever. There's always going to be someone that's going to say other. But for the audience that I am attempting to reach, I am very sure at least 99.9% we are at this point in agreement with what has been said so far. So in our attempt to find identity other than that which was forced on us by an oppressor, then we have found that we have connection to this continent called Africa. And some of us, we have become other than Africa. Some of us now believe we are the original native people of this land that is now called the United States of America. Many of you have embraced Kemet. Some of you are Israelites and black Muslims, and it can go on and on. We have adopted so many things in an attempt to seek a knowledge of self. And we want to be anything other than European, because Europeans have proven to be an enemy, and the European is the one that caused us to be in this position. And technically, there's nothing wrong with this, and technically, there's nothing wrong with this attempt. However, the error that we make is that we stop there and really don't understand the full process of knowledge of self. Giving you this simple example. We have parents. All of us have parents. So our ancestors would be our parents, regardless to whether they come from Kemet, they are Israelites, or wherever your ancestors you may believe they come from. Makes no difference. They are your parents. So you have your parents. As individuals, we have parents. Your mother is a teacher. Your father is a bricklayer. They are your parents. And you come from them. Okay, we come from Kemet. We are the original Israelites. We are those ancient people in the past. We are Africans. Let's just say that. They are the parents. These are your parents, the father a bricklayer, the mother a teacher. However, when you come into the world, you come from them, but you are not them. You are a brand new life form. You are a brand new being that has now come into the planet. And when you expire, when you die, there will be nobody like you. Even when we have twins, twins are not the same. They are not clones. They are different individuals. Yet they come from a parent. You are different from your parents. Whereas your parent is a bricklayer and your one is a teacher, you may not want to do that as an occupation. You are different. And this is knowledge of self. This is looking at inside yourself saying, I don't want to lay bricks. I don't want to be a teacher. Because that's what you want for yourself. Although you come from parents that lay bricks and they teach students in a school. Our sister Janet Jackson comes from a famous family. And what put them on the map was the Jackson 5. And Janet lived under or in the shadow of the Jackson 5. And she's proud of being a Jackson. And she's proud of that legacy. However, Janet did not want to, because Janet is discovering herself. She's still a Jackson, but she wants to do her own thing. She wants to discover what she's capable of doing. So she begins to step outside the shadow of Michael, outside the shadow and the influence of the Jackson family. And Janet becomes Janet. She's Janet Jackson, but now we know her as Janet. Janet now comes into her own. But she's still a Jackson. So no matter whether you believe your ancestors came from Kemet, or they the Hebrews, or from Ethiopia or Ghana, wherever you think your ancestors come from, you are them, but now you're expressing yourself. However, now again, unlike Janet knows she comes from this particular family. The problem with the so-called Negro, the problem with we who are the descendants of slaves, we don't know our parents really. We really don't know. That's why in the Nation of Islam, we're taught that the slaves was made lost, deaf, dumb, and blind. The key word here is lost. You don't know. So many of you are making the claim like you know. If you knew, you wouldn't have got lost. Well, you said, nah, I'm found. If you found, then how come this group said I'm from Kemet? This group said I'm a Hebrew Israelite. This group says I'm a Nubian. This group says I'm an American. And it's nothing but mass confusion. So what happens in a situation like that? You're searching for the knowledge of self. Again, it makes no difference where your origins are. And you can continue to find your father and your mother. Like so many orphans, so many children that are adopted, many of them never know and will never know their parents. And so that's the situation we find ourselves in. We don't know our parents. So what we do as an individual is we start all over from scratch and begin a whole new life. And that's what this ministry is representing, is that you're trying to return to a past, a lifestyle, and become something that you're not. You never lived in that past, and you're not those people. You're not a bricklayer. You're not a teacher. You're somebody brand new. However, you do have the choice. If you want to be a bricklayer, if you want to be a teacher, then that's fine and dandy. However, don't get angry and upset when you have people that wish to do more come up out of the shadow of their parents, like Janet. Janet wanted to do more than just be living in the shadow of Michael and the Jackson 5. Now she's Janet. We want to explore our own power. We want to be able to evolve to, you admire the pyramids and you admire the high sciences of the ancients, yet and still you deny yourself trying to go back to where they were when you should be moving forward, because there's a possibility, like Janet, you can be just as great, if not greater, than the place where you came from. You do yourself a disservice by trying to rehash the leftovers of a destroyed people, trying to dig and get the scraps left in the ruins of those who are gone, extinct, and trying to become something you think they was. Be yourself and you don't have to worry about it. That's why you have all this confusion, people trying to be something that they are not. And we look unintelligent in the eyes of the world. When you should become, there's nothing wrong with being who you are. Janet said, there's nothing wrong with me being Janet. I love Michael. I love the Jackson 5. I want to be Janet. I want to express myself. I want to see what I have to offer the world. You have more to offer the world than trying to refire some leftovers from people long gone. And that is what this ministry represents, and that's why many can't comprehend. And it is outside of race. I don't have to run around and talk about, I'm proud to be black, I'm proud to be African. You're not going to lock me down in race. Put me in a racial category. You do yourself a disservice. So since you voluntarily place yourself in these cages, then you wonder why you can't progress, why you can't go no further. You voluntarily have put chains on yourself and put yourself in a cage. That's why you can't get going. And you trying to reach out and find a solution from the past when you should be looking at the present, going as you move forward into the future. Okay. Is this on? All right. Welcome to another edition of the Reality Stuff on Earth. I am Angel Snubbed Up 7, and this is a rant video. Things that make you say, Well, I first would like to apologize. I want to apologize to many of you, no matter what you call yourself, Kemite, Hebrew, Israelite, Nawabian, and Christians, or whatever you call yourself, whatever label or title that you give yourself. I want to apologize to the black family, the family of soul, for being angry at you. I should not be angry at you because, well, actually, I should not be angry at us. I must include myself. I must not think that I'm better than you, smarter than you, more intelligent than you, all this. So, I don't want you to believe this is how I feel. But I want to apologize to the black family like one should apologize to someone who is sick. When you go to a hospital and you visit somebody and they cough and they hack and they might blow a chunk of snot on you. Hey man, what the? And you get all angry and upset. The person is sick. When a person is mentally ill, and if you are accused of a crime, I have experience in this. If you are mentally ill and you are accused of a crime, you are not responsible for your actions because you are mentally sick. When a person is physically sick, they cannot help the coughing, how they feel. They are sick. So what must be understood is that when you're dealing with we, who are the descendants of slaves born in America having dark skin, you're dealing with a group of people, first of all, who have not become a people. They are called a people, but they actually are in little tribes and groups. But wherever you may find them, mentally, no matter how healthy physically we look, mentally we have been scarred. We are the children of a people who have gone through great trauma, great confusion, And this, we suffer going on now 500 years. So I must apologize. And if you feel as though you're so intellectual, you smarter than me, and you know it all, what you getting angry from? What you getting angry with me for? I'm mentally ill, right? I don't have it all, right? So what you angry at me for? How do you deal with a mentally ill person? How do you deal with a person who is physically sick? You put them in the hospital and take care of them. How do you take care of them? By beating them? Calling them names? Abusing them? You take care of the sick by showing them kindness. You take care of the sick by showing them love. You take care of the sick by showing them care. And you wonder why we are still in the condition that we're in, because although we know that our people have suffered both physically and mentally from trauma, great trauma and abuse, this is how we treat one another. And you and I, we should be shamed. I have never cussed anyone out and or nothing like that, or try to treat anybody uncivil because they don't like my opinion. But many of you do. But I apologize because of my frustration dealing with people thinking that they should understand the way I understand, comprehend the way I comprehend, when I have to realize that they are sick, mentally ill, and they cannot help themselves. So they are not responsible for their actions. With that said, we want to talk about this illness. We want to talk about this sickness. I want to rant about this. As many of you know, I did suffer incarceration about 10 years. I was incarcerated. I understand what happens when you are incarcerated. We all are incarcerated, but I'm talking about the box inside the box. But it makes no difference, because incarceration, whether the box is small or whether the box is 2,000 miles, incarceration is incarceration. I want you to think about this. When I was incarcerated, I did not like it, of course. But after a certain amount of time, you begin to get used to it. Now, what if you are people and you was born in incarceration? That's what happened to us. We who are the descendants of slaves born in America, we were born into incarceration. Now, I'm incarcerated into a smaller box, and I have an understanding and know what freedom feels like. But it don't make any difference, because the longer I stay incarcerated, I begin to get used to it. Because although I'm incarcerated, I can still get a woman if I want. I can get drugs if I want. I get soda. I get a good 3 meals a day. I get to play basketball. And I'm sort of enjoying it. If you are a slave, and that's the only life you know, it's not about enjoying, it's all that you know. So one day I had to stop and think about what was happening to me. I was becoming what you call institutionalized. And when you become institutionalized, what has happened is you've grown comfortable in your incarceration, and it has become an acceptable way of life for you. Slavery, black chattel slavery, slavery was called an institution. And those who were the victims of slavery, they were born institutionalized. So what do you expect from black folks, so-called black folks, the people of soul? What do you expect from us? The only thing you and I know of is being institutionalized. You have no idea of what being free is. You talk about it, but you really don't know what it means. You really don't know what it is because you have never been free. So you have myself incarcerated, and I knew I had to begin to rebel. I had to start fighting against being institutionalized. I had to begin to fight. I had to get angry. Otherwise, I would submit and just say, oh, well, whatever would be, would be. I just enjoy myself until they let me out. And that's what's happening to the people of soul right now. You don't have no anger. You don't have no fire. You don't have no energy to set yourself free. Because you don't have freedom. You've never known freedom to begin with. What pushed me or what caused me to fight every day was the fact that I knew what freedom was, and I knew I could be better than what was happening to me locked up. You don't know this. The only thing you've known is living with racists going on 500 years. I told them devils I would rather live in the gutter with the rats than stay here with your 3 meals a day. I'd rather live in the gutter with the rats than wake up every morning and see your ugly face. And I fought these people tooth and nail. And I did all kinds of things to make their job very, very difficult. You make living with racists easy for them. You get angry for a few seconds, then next thing you know, you want to take your family to Disneyland. Why? Because you have no concept of freedom. You don't know what it is. You have become institutionalized. And then you talk about Africa. And you keep talking about Kemen. And you talk about all these different things. So it would make your being institutionalized feel better. But you don't see the fight. Because when I was locked up, it made no difference whether I liked you or not. I'm going to join and unify with anybody that I thought could help me get out of this situation. I could care less. You could be Caucasian, you could be Chinese, you could be whatever. If you got something that I think I can use to get the hell out of here, you and I, we're going to be friends, if not, for a few minutes, if anything else. Once I get what I want, we can go our separate ways. You don't have that fire. You waiting on some special black people to come do this and that and that. Ain't no special black folks gonna come and do nothing for you. Because the majority of them are just like you. They are institutionalized. And being incarcerated is all they know. You was born in it. So there were many people I was locked up with, just like you. I always tell them, I need to get out of here. And, man, I'm sick of this place. But then, when the realization that they can get out came about, all of a sudden they found excuses why it was better for them to stay locked up. Just like y'all do. Because being a slave is all that you know. You can holler black power, Pan-Africanism, all this stuff that y'all grown to believe in and embrace. You can say it all that you want to. Your actions speak louder than words. My actions show I wanted to get out of that place. Your actions don't show that you really want to separate and get this beast off your back once and for all. Your actions don't show that. I don't care what you holler and talk about. You cannot put me in your category because the devils know I will fight you tooth and nail. They know about me. But you have become well-adjusted slaves. Some of you get food stamps. Some of you are middle class. Some of you have millions of dollars. When it's all said and done, you're nothing but a bunch of comfortable, cowardly, institutionalized slaves. That's the bottom line. This is why many of you don't like listening to me. And that's why a lot of people that I was locked up with didn't like being around me. Because I was real about getting out of incarceration and they was fake. And if you're fake, I don't want you around me anyway. Because I need strong, brave, real people in order to do what I need to do. Let's talk about it. Jot down your comments. That's the end of the rant. Time is over. As important as always, love, peace, and soul.